Hello everyone, welcome back, hopefully, to the Football Uncensored podcast with myself, Rob Kirton and John Sitton. We've had a quick cup of tea, spoken to our sponsors and agents, and we're good to go again. We're going to, yes, and everyone have a little chuckle there. Extensive list we've got, sponsors and agents.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on and also slightly back, we're going to circle back and sort of pick up and conclude what we were mainly speaking about in the previous episode, which was West Ham and Spurs was the main body. Um, just to conclude it, really, we spoke about, or John spoke about, rather, the manager and the club and the start of the season, embryonic though it is.
Yeah.
So, John, you just want to say a little bit about how you think that it may pan out throughout the
Oh,
season for club
yeah.
and manager.
Okay. As we go through the next few games, I think we'll get a rough idea of where people are. Although I think it's maybe around about 15 league and cup games, which takes you into the maybe first, second week of October. Um, Things start to become established. What I'll do is
Mm,
I'll put my neck on the chopping block right now. West Ham, Potter. I think will part company because I just can't see any light at the end of the tunnel unless something miraculous happens. I mean, their next game, I believe, is Nottingham Forest away on Saturday.
correct.
So I can't see how they're going to turn it round with regards to being flaky, being lightweight in midfield, being uncompetitive. Not willing to do the hard yards, not willing to put a foot in, not willing to get within blocking distance to stop crosses coming in and shots coming in. Not willing to open your body and stop people getting across you. Not willing to open your body to stop people sneaking in behind you. That's showing a lack of football intelligence. So, like I said, the bit and then no goals in the team really. So, like I said in the first episode, I think the business plan seems to be part company with a manager and staff, anywhere between 10 and 15 mil compensation for across the board for a lot of them. It's a lot cheaper than laying out maybe 70 to 100 million on a top player, 60 million on the next level down, or an international, and then your 30s, 40s, and 50s. You know what I mean? So, and I think they need 8 players. So, if you went an average of 200 million for every 4 players, you're looking they need to spend just under £500 million to basically replenish the squad and the first team, and they would go automatically in the first team. You've got
Mm,
to think an international break coming up, and I think that might be when they start making decisions. They might be patient with him, but I can't see him making the end of the year. If they stick with him, I think honestly believe West Ham will go down on the form they've shown so far. Because what you've got to do is when someone comes, you've got to have your own. Like I've said many, many, many times on this podcast, you've got every club has got to have his own agenda. And what they should have been doing is probably what any other one would have done there. Welcome to the Premier League. This is what it's all about. When I went to Sunderland, welcome to the Premier League, son. This is what it's all about, right? And it was the other way round.
yeah,
Sunderland took them to the cleaners. They folded against Chelsea after getting a goal in front. Um, Spurs,
I was going to
I,
say,
I,
can I pin you to a Spurs one as
yeah,
well?
you can. I don't think they'll win the league. I think they'll win a cup. It might be another European one. It might be the League Cup. It might be the FA Cup. But I honestly believe he'll lift the trophy. And I think the players, they look like they're really enjoying their football there, and they're really enjoying their time at the moment under him. Let's hope they can steer clear of and stay injury free, steer clear of any serious injuries, keep the squad together, maybe add to it. And I would definitely have a punt on them for one of the cups. I think they
Uh,
might just come up short in the league because of the pedigree. You need a certain pedigree. I think Arsenal been knocking on the door for a couple of years now. Um, Me personally, I think this is probably their best chance of winning it. And if they don't, I can see him parting company with Arteta at the end of the season because I think this
right.
will be something like his fifth or sixth season. Started off well, got the FA Cup on the board within a couple of months of arriving. Couple of near misses, couple of big disappointments with regards to the squad he's putting together. Um, Probably among the best buys of the summer. I think it'll be out of them and Liverpool again. Them Liverpool City. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'll bookmark this episode, viewers, for some very early predictions from John. Hasn't gone this early in the last two seasons we've done it, so bookmark this one. Perhaps in coming episodes we can focus on a few other clubs, John. What do you think? And maybe you can give your verdict on a couple of clubs every episode.
Yeah, one of my old firms, I think they might come up short. But I'll have them down. I'll have them down again. But see, the test of it all's going to be the telltale signs. I was meant to say. I was going to try and say it'd be when they start going off and competing in Europe.
Hmm.
So that that will cover quite a few. It'd be might be a big burden on the likes of Newcastle, Spurs. The others are used to it. They've had this tournament in the summer, some of them as well. You've got your internationals, so it might begin to take its toll there. Um, yeah, so we'll see. I just think like, I look at the Arsenal with regards to the Leeds result, the 5-0, and then the other one, particularly, I would say, particularly the Man United one. I think it sets a bit of a precedent where, for the first time in a long time, um, Man United had quite a potent attacking force with their new buys, Buemo and Cunha. Um, they seem very, very resilient. They showed great resilience, great character, stuck together. The distances were superb. Um, all the things that I've criticised West Ham about. You know what I mean? The communication, the desire to get within blocking distance, put your body down on the line to get a block on, and safety in numbers with regards to people getting back behind the ball, making recovery runs. And there were times when they had to dig in and really defend for long periods. Um, your problem with Man United, so that for me that set a precedent for the Arsenal. Let me tell you something. Further on down the line, I think it might well be it will show what an important and what a fantastic result it was, because I think Man United will turn over more teams than not at Old Trafford with the new signings and getting rid of all the troublemakers and the hangers on and the ones that weren't buying into it. All the stuff I went through, all the stuff I tried to say 31 years ago, it's all come round again. It's the same game, exactly the same game. It's just that the circumstances are different and the surroundings are better. And the playing and working conditions are far better. Everything that happened to me with regards to transfers, it's all happened again. Everything that happened to me with regards to lacking a potent goal scoring threat, it's already happened to me. And with regards to trying to weed out troublemakers, he's had the full backing of the club, which I never got. People who are hanging around and you know using the club as an ATM, thinking they're doing a club a favour, but I think all this about I weren't enjoying it with regards to one particular player who's gone to Spain, um, clashed with a manager. Um, well, the managers had to fall back in, and I think they'll win far more games than not, particularly at Old Trafford. So further down the line, the point I'm making, among many, is I think it will reflect well on Arsenal and show what a great result that was, first game of the season at Old Trafford, and what an important result it was.
I think you'll probably agree. A good trait to have as a side, and I don't think I'm being unfair to Arsenal, is to get a result, particularly a win, when you haven't necessarily played that well or even been the better side. And if you can pull out a few of those, especially against the bigger clubs, you got to be doing all right, John, haven't you?
That's right. That's right. And then obviously being one of the bigger clubs, they're going to be one of those teams competing in their league. So you've got three leagues within the league, or three divisions within a division, and there'll be one of those. There'll be one of those that they need to beat. And as I showed Saturday, they should, if their attitude's right and their approach is right. And then you've got the new signings. You've got another one who was introduced to the fans at the weekend. There's and that going to be another fantastic addition. The way they dispatch Leeds. So yeah, there was a big golfing class there, I thought. Um, and they
Oh,
look,
Arsenal.
yeah, they look physically very, very strong, very powerful. Got pace in all the right areas. I still like to see him be a bit more direct, especially with a centre forward. There was a lot of times when I think he either could have made runs to make the decision, the person on the ball make him make a decision to whip it in, or it could have been whipped in to make him make a run. You understand? So they're still getting a bit of an understanding there because he was a little bit, he was hanging back probably 2 yards off his marker, either that or it was credit to the defender the way he sorted his body position out and got the marking right. Because all this WWF and all that, I don't subscribe to. You know what I mean? I think there's a proper way to mark. Uh, there's a way not to mark, and but unfortunately, they don't get found out often enough. I wish they did. Failing that, I think they should be giving. Um, they brought the one in about the time waste in the 8 second thing. They should bring in one for the WWF in the box and start giving penalties. Then that
They
might
have,
it might take people back to how they should have been marking in the first place. Yeah,
yeah. I'd have to just, yeah, a few things to pick up on there. I'll try and work backwards. The WWF have always been a massive pet peeve of mine, and probably just about anyone who watches football. They, I can't remember whether it's in the long list of things that are being introduced this season. It possibly is, but at the weekend, I'm just trying to remember the game. I think it was Fulham. Yeah, to be fair, it was Fulham against Man United at the weekend, wasn't it? They gave the pen for the Fulham defender wrestling down the
yeah, that's
United
right.
attacker. I think it was Mount. Obviously, Fernandez stuck the penalty into the Thames, but
Yeah.
what they did point is they did give the pen. So we'll see on that. Maybe we will see more of it. There's been a few. I don't want to get too bogged down with some of the rule changes because
Yeah.
will run out of time and talk about what you want to talk about in this episode. But
That's all right. No, I mean it was diabolical, lazy defending. He's a big lump. I've seen him play well, and I've seen him play with the brains of a rocking horse. And I think Saturday was one of those occasions. You can't, he's physically equipped, far more than most, and probably symptomatic of today's game. I still think, like, don't matter how physically well equipped you are, you still got to play the game with intelligence. And you can't start picking people up and throwing them on the floor. Which is what he did with Mount. Is like a bear hug, and then he dumped him, didn't he? It was like I say, it's like WWF. So, and then he
yeah,
tried to play the victim at the other end when he's built like a brick shit house, um, and gone down like he'd been hit by a wrecking ball, and the geezer like sort of barely got hold of him or barely touched him. Yeah, I just for me, it's just like lacking intelligence and it's lazy defending, lazy incompetent defending. But that's a reflection of, like someone said to me, football's a reflection of life. So maybe that's the case with this as well.
maybe. Yeah, United and Arsenal. I agree. I think United certainly looked a low bar, obviously, as we spoke about at the end of last season, but they looked a lot better going forward. A lot more energy, a lot more, a little bit more direct, a little bit quicker. But
Yeah.
it's still I guess it's still a work in progress, obviously, because it still doesn't look like it's quite gelling together.
Well, they still
But
fall short because they're not good enough at the back.
hmm,
They're relying on athleticism rather than intelligence. I suppose they've been organised. I suppose they've been drilled. But there's occasions when you wouldn't think it. You think that's not the case. And then like you've got individual mistakes. One it nearly got found out, but he recovered well. Dallo, blistering pace to recover and get under him and concede the corner. But you've got to have a pop when you're especially at the back and at the pace and tempo it's played at. You've got to have a pass ready, or you've got to have a pattern to go to straight away. Um, yeah, I still think they come up. I still think they come up short because of the, they might be struggling at the back. But we'll
well,
see. We'll see. It's early days.
like you say, it does look like he's going to get the rare luxury of time for a manager. We'll see.
Yeah,
Maybe we'll touch on United a bit more the same way we have West Ham and Spurs on that account. Where will they be? Where will the manager be? But the Arsenal, yeah, two wins, 2 out of 2,
yeah.
2 clean sheets. Good transfer window, I think, as you say. And I think you're right. I think if they don't win a trophy this season, I think the noise around Arteta, should he stay or should he go, will become a lot louder. But again, we may come back to that.
Yeah. You've got to look. I
Spurs,
think you've got to look at the thing. Some of
or
the players
Spurs,
got
wasn't
to
it?
look at what they're doing off the field, maybe, or
Mm,
they've got to look at the workload, and he's got to manage the workload because his hamstring. It was his other hamstring this time.
yeah,
Saka,
Saka.
his hamstring went. You've got the other geezer who looks like his shoulders probably strained ligaments, or it might have popped out. Um, Odegaard, he's an important player, so they've got to steer clear of injuries, Rob. You
Yeah,
know, although the additions they've made with a centre forward, I can't pronounce his name. Eze's
no,
easy.
me neither.
Yeah, I think it's good. Is it Gukerez? Guekarez? So anyway, he looks like he looks like he's got a fair bit of belief about himself. The way he went up to the camera after he scored,
Mm,
he was emphatic with a penalty as well. His record is, I think, played however many, won them all. Whether it's for his old club, his international or Arsenal on the
mm.
weekend. Yeah. But
Awesome.
there's a lot of stuff just like being like recycled now, and I'm quite pleased that it's come round from
Yeah,
a personal point of view, with different goings on. Um, the main ones being at Newcastle. But again, it's like Man United. I think it's highlighted the fact that you need time. West Ham's highlighted the fact to me that if the club's toxic, it doesn't matter who you put in charge. And then you've got the Newcastle situation, which I'll be honest, from a selfish point of view, I'm highly delighted with. I see a quote earlier, Thierry Henry, thought it was brilliant.
yes,
Obviously, massively paraphrasing, but he said everyone's going on about Isak and the player and what he's doing to the club, but nobody ever talks about the player when the club's finished with him, or they no longer his services are no longer required and they want him out the club. Well, that's what happened to me at Gillingham. The name of a guy, Keith Peacock, who I started off on really good terms with him and served him well for a couple of years. He should have just said, "Thanks very much for your service. You've done really well for me. It's been a pleasure to manage and coach you, except for the sending off against Bournemouth. And let me go on my merry way." And sold me to Brentford. It's in my autobiography, as most people who've read it will know. I could have come back to London. I could have been sold to Brentford. He could have had his money back. Plus me, what he give Millwall for me, which weren't a lot, me signing on fee and me wages, he'd have got me services free of charge over 2 years. Um, but it wasn't the case. Instead of that, he was small-minded and insecure, incompetent, not up to his job, and had absolutely no confidence in the players that he brought in to replace me. A centre half, um, what was his name? I forgot his name. Um, and a fullback, Joe Innigan. Keith something, the geezer's name anyway, the centre back. If you've got confidence in your ability and your confidence in the players that you've brought in to move the club forward and take it on to either to another level or in a different direction, then let me get on with my life. You know what I mean? But he fucked me about, and I've got nothing but angry, bitter, and twisted memories, which is where he's coming from. Um, Thierry Henry. And the other thing with Isak, I'm highly delighted with, is it also highlights the predicament that he's in, the manager, because he's had to put together a makeshift forward line with a makeshift centre forward. All of what I had to do 30 odd years ago at Leighton Orient. I said it's absolutely imperative you had a goal threat, preferably more than one. I'd like to play more than one goal threat together from midfield and in the front line. But also, if you're only going to play one up front, someone to replace him. I mean, Sir Alex got greedy 1 year and they won the treble. He had four in
yes,
Solskjaer, Sheringham, York, and Cole. Um,
not bad.
for me, that's the way to do it. Not a bad thought to choose from. Do you know what I mean? And I was a player I rescued after being released from Tottenham. Rescued him, gave him a YTS. He could have ended up on the dole. Then I gave him a 1 year pro contract as a young pro. Then he's on a radio show going, "How did we go down? How did we go down with that squad? Hendon and Eildon, Westy and Bogey." And then, well, I'll tell you how. No competition for places. Massive toxicity at the club. and no competition for places in terms of a goal threat. We had to rely on one player. Well, what's happening to Newcastle at the moment is it's showing you exactly what happens when you've only got one player to rely on for goals, and this toxicity around him is having a knock-on effect, and they're nowhere near the side at the moment. They're nowhere near the side they showed that they were last year. So I'm highly delighted that all this stuff's going on because it's basically it's football and it's the politics of football and it's the drama and what can happen around football and around a football club. And I was right then and I'm right now. I'll always be right because I knew I was right in the first place. Um, what it is when these things manifest themselves, it basically confirms um, that you were thinking along the right lines. You might have been thinking along the right lines, and you knew the message that the thing um, that you were trying to get across both to supporters and to board of directors. It was like that collection of old boys on the Muppet Show on a balcony. You know what I mean? It's just fell on deaf ears, basically. Um,
That room
but
Waldorf.
and the other thing, in answer to the kids' observations, how did we go down on? It was Orient Hour on some Essex radio show, and it got back to me, and I said, "Where are you?" You know what I mean? After what I've done, and I even took him all over the place with me in non-league. After what I've done for you, or what I tried to do for you, how did we go down? I said, "I'll tell you how we went down. There was no competition for places. The club was hemorrhaging money. It was toxic, the atmosphere. We had no goals in the side." Um, and basically uh, 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 an overage squad with no resale value, among one or two other things, namely individual mistakes. Now, what you saw at the weekend on the English Football League highlights were the drubbing they took at Mansfield, my old club, um, mostly down to individual mistakes, which you don't matter who the manager is, you can't compensate for it. You can't legislate for what a crazy minute someone might do in a crazy second. So all these things, Rob, that a thing, whether it's the football league, and I was much lower down the thing, obviously much lower down the pyramid, or these things that are in the Premier League, it's the same game. And like I say, it'll always be the same game. It's just got different working conditions, different goings on, and different surroundings. But you know, the politics really they stay the same.
Yeah, it certainly seemed to. I mean, Newcastle, obviously, it's fair to say they've got they've got some money, certainly a bit more than you had at the Orient.
And
They've got
here's a shout. They won't even make top four.
well, I mean, okay, another prediction. Again, bookmark this one. That's at least the fourth prediction in across 1.5 episodes we've had out of John so far this new season. So unprecedented,
There's three
unprecedented.
days left. Right. So even if he stays there, the guy, his relationship with the manager and the manager's assistant, the coaching staff, the teammates, and all the supporters, it's all been tarnished.
Yeah, this is what I was going to say
It's
to you. Where
now, yeah, it's diseased. It's this thing. So they were better off selling him. And even if but they obviously they couldn't let him go until they get a replacement. But you need more. They should have been lining up more than one replacement. I know they've bid for a couple of people when people have gone to other clubs. Um, But in a position like that, you've got to have four, five, six, seven, eight irons in the fire. And then
mm,
you've got a rope that you can pull three of them out, maybe two. Top worst case scenario, at least two. But where do they go from here in 3 days' time, Rob? If
I
they
don't know. I
don't
think they've
sell
got
him, Liverpool, if Liverpool don't pay what they want, or Newcastle refuse to sell, you've now got basically a toxic atmosphere, a stench in the again, which I experienced, a stench in the dressing room.
mm. Well, the transfer, I did look at it before we started recording. The transfer window, I think it's Monday tea time it shuts. Weirdly, September the 1st. So we've got this weekend of fixtures, then Monday it shuts. There's 4 or 5 days left,
Okay, right.
lo-
Oh, I
but
didn't know
like you
that.
say,
Yeah, 'cause I thought it was automatically up on Sunday. But
yeah, so did
obviously,
I.
because it's clashed with probably because it's clashed with the weekend being the fixtures Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, I expect
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
But
Okay.
like you say with Newcastle, they played Anthony Gordon started at centre forward for both the games, a player we've sung a lot of praise to over the last couple of seasons.
When he
Got
was
a
in
red
his right
card.
position. It has to be said when he was in his right position. At the moment,
Yeah.
he looks like an headless chicken, and I think the frustration of not being not knowing how to be a centre forward, not being a centre forward, which is the excuse you would make for him, he's doing me a favour as the manager. He's doing the club a favour. I think it's manifested itself in a lot of frustration, and hence the way he's conducted himself over the last couple of games.
Mm. Yeah, very silly red card last night. So their makeshift centre forward is now suspended for the weekend. They've got, I think it's a young lad, I think it's Oselu. Any Newcastle fans feel free to correct me, but he actually got their equaliser last night before Liverpool got the last second winner with their youngster. But now they're down to just him to play up front because
Yeah.
they released Callum Wilson, who ironically enough has been picked up by West Ham. But like you say, Newcastle basically don't have a centre forward at the moment because you've got one in exile, one's gone to West Ham.
That's
Yeah,
to say we made a West Ham going back to West Ham. That's to say we made a signing. You know what I mean?
yeah.
That's to say we made a signing. But what's he? 32, 33, 34. You know what I mean? So
A lot
twilight of
of
his career,
injuries.
you do what will get 20 minutes out of him. A decent 20 minutes. He ain't going to play 90 minutes. Um, and where'd he go with it? There's nowhere to go with it.
Mm.
He's if he's playing in a bad side anyway, he's not going to pay back his wages, signing on fee, whatever, with goals, and say, oh, you know what, we squeezed the last drop of the lemon out of him, and we got a good little return. Well, he's not playing in a good side, so I don't even think you're going to get a return of goals out of him. Um, yeah, so they parted company. No resale value, obviously, because I think it was a free, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah. Newcastle released him.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know what I can't see Newcastle hitting the same heights as they did last year. On top of that,
Well,
they've got the added thing of a European commitment.
yeah. Well, they're running out of, as we both illustrated, they're running out of time to rectify it, and frankly, options to rectify it with.
Yeah,
There's,
yeah,
there's obviously there's the Brentford guy, Visser, they've been linked with after failing to land Jurquez, the Arsenal guy. I'm sorry, I've totally butchered him there, but the guy who's ended up at Arsenal, Sesko, the guy who's ended up at United,
yep,
Ekiteke,
yep.
probably butchered
Liverpool,
another one there.
yeah,
Liverpool, they went for him,
yep.
and now they're on to Visser at Brentford, who's sort
Yeah.
of down tools and maybe not quite to the degree that Isak has, but
I strayed in episode one, Rob, so I apologise to anyone listening. But I was actually going to make the point where someone made the other night when you've got to get your ducks in a row, get your business done early, then you can maybe think about wheeling and dealing. And if not, if you don't, if you've got the players in that you want and you can't sell somebody, you just go, you know what? Okay, that's fine. But we've got an even stronger squad than I anticipated, right? But what's happened is if too many clubs are selling, right? And they've gone, oh yeah, blinding. That's a nice little bit of work. I got 60 million for him. And they go, right, okay. So now what we need to do, we need to fill an old air in the squad. Da, da, da. And they go to a club and they say, make inquiries. They said, yeah, we want to buy him, and how much do you want for him? Well, it just so happens, they read the papers and they say, well, it just so happens we want 60 million. So I don't get it. You know what I mean? And don't forget, it was over. This was last week, right? It came over the news. It's record amounts of money. It's the record amount of money ever spent by the Premier League. I think
really,
it was over a quarter of a billion up to date. That up to last
yeah.
week. I think it was 270 odd million. So over a quarter of a billion in transfer fees. Yeah.
Well, you know that's going to go up in the last frantic 5 days, 4 days, whatever it is. So,
Yeah. I don't know why, but I don't even know how they put a price on them now. Thing other than the fact that there's more games because it's like I predicted. Sooner or later, they're going to want more for their money. They're going to want.
mm,
That's how big business and corporations work. You know what I mean? So, with regards to the TV company giving X amount to the Premier League, have they negotiated it upwards? You know for sure that was an inevitability with the advert. It's gone up from whatever it was, 100 and something games to 200 and something games, because they
That's
was
right.
always going to want more for their money. Um, what that means is the regulations are going to, in my opinion, the regulations are going to have to change. They're going to have to allow bigger squads, right? Because inevitably, what will happen, it's going to take its toll on players, and you're going to either end up with uh, one or two things, or both. You're going to end up with a product that's not as good, right? And you're going to end up with a lot of career-ending injuries or long-term injuries as a consequence. Um, so, in line, what I would say if I was working at the legislation end, I would say what we need to do, we need to be bringing a rule where we can increase the numbers in the squad. I don't know, from 23 to 28 or from 20 to 26 or whatever it is, 22 to 30, um, to help with the workload.
Well, you mentioned there, just digress away from the Premier League very, very briefly. The TV company, in this case Sky, and I think TNT as well. They're sort of the little brother in the Premier League relationship, increasing the coverage of the games. Is it La Liga? So the Spanish league. They're actually playing one of their league games, and I think it's Barcelona
Yeah,
or is it Real Madrid? One of the two big guns. They're
yeah,
playing one of their games in the States
yeah,
this season,
yeah,
and he's just like, seriously.
yeah,
But like you say, money money talks, and
yeah,
the TV companies generally seem to get. They seem to be the tail wagging the dog
yeah,
in the grand scheme of things more often than not.
yeah, yeah. And well,
Um,
I mean, if you're part of it, it's lovely. You know what I mean?
well, yeah, I'm sure it is.
Even lower down the scale, I'm reading of like literally like laughable amounts. I'm led to believe one manager's signed a newer contract, and he's got over 100 grand a year rise, on top of an already very generous salary. And I'm thinking to myself, and there's a but the but is um, the club's asked for is going to ask for a massive amount in compensation if he's headhunted. Well, this is for what would be a third division manager. So it has its knock-on effect. But like I say, if you're in the inside, fill your boots. Good luck to you.
I can't remember who said it. I'm sure, and it's going back a few years now. Somebody said something on the lines of one day football will eat itself. I think it was someone quite well known, but I forget who it was. But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
Well, they better hurry up and think of another distraction then, without going too profound and going into current affairs, daily politics, geopolitics. They better think of another distraction if that's the case. I can't see it happening anytime soon.
Good.
Um,
No,
yeah,
you're right.
still the greatest game on the planet.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, we've only got another few minutes to talk about the greatest game on the planet for this episode.
Okay.
Um, if we go back to Spurs, if you don't mind, John, just a quick couple of minutes. We probably didn't give them quite enough credit in the previous episode for the job they did against City at the weekend
Yeah.
in the early kickoff, 2-0 win.
Yeah.
Um, you've seen Match of the Day or Match of the Day 2, whichever one it was on.
Yeah.
You've spoke before about clubs, about how to beat City, and did Spurs follow that template, or did they do it a different way?
Yeah. I mean, it's two polar opposites. You've either got to have the discipline, uh, the players and the discipline and the organisation to do what Palace did in the cup final, which is defend slightly deeper. Or my preference would be um, get into them as high up the field as you possibly can, which I think I'm right in saying is what Spurs did, to the extent
So,
where they took massive gambles. I mean, they drove Haaland deeper and deeper and deeper. I was talking about the centre backs earlier, to the extent where they were hunting the ball down 10, 15, maybe 20 yards inside City's half. So if it had been rebounded on them, anyone who was standing on the halfway line would have been well on side. So they took a big risk in that respect. Um, but that's just my sort of personal approach to it. Um, I've always advocated pressing from the front, Um, for the simple reason it gives you maybe a if the goalkeeper's rolling it out like the City goalkeeper did to that led to one of the goals. If
Yeah,
they do play through you, it can give you, maybe a 95-yard margin of error where you can make recovery runs and get back behind the ball if they're willing and disciplined. By the same token, on the positive note, like they did, if you pinch it in and around their box, you're basically a pass and a strike away from it in the back of the net. And that's what happened. And again, it's early days, but he's not my cup of tea, that keeper. Not my cup of tea.
Trafford, you
Um,
mean the City keeper?
Yeah, I thought he'd
Yeah,
done he'd done too many of them. He'd done too many of them. If you go back through it, I promise your hand on heart, I know what I'm talking about, what I'm looking at, and I know my memory in certain aspects is still pretty good. He did quite a bit of that at Burnley, invited pressure and dropped teammates in the proverbial. You know what I mean? Not to put too fine a point, dropped them right in the shit when they're back to the game, and he rolled a short ball like he did at the weekend, and then semi-recovered by getting his hand to it. Now, I think he's got a long, long, long way to go. He has too many he's trying to act daddy cool and there's too many he has too many mental blips.
I
Um
think I think Company ended up dropping him in the season that Company managed him in the Premier League, didn't he?
right,
James Trafford. So
right,
for doing what you've just described,
right.
no.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Spurs certainly did a number. So we're down literally to the last couple of minutes.
So
So
the point being, Rob, you either press I or you've got a very well organised, well disciplined lower block where you can see possession like Palace did in the cup final. And I actually think it led to the breakaway for their goal. One of them.
yeah,
I'm not entirely sure. It's a bit sketchy because it was Palace, and you know, I want all London clubs to do well, but I weren't particularly interested. I wanted to go work. Um, yeah. So, but I think I'm right in saying they played with a lower block. Yeah. But either or, and again, this is what I said um, years and years and years ago. A lot of it's to do with distances.
you did. You said that. Oh, I know you said that numerous times across these podcasts. Right, we're going to have to, and it certainly is quite correct in my humble opinion. We're going to have to wrap it up because technology is going to cut us off. Our best friend, me and John, we're technophobes, as everyone probably knows. But thank you very much from me for watching and using your devices to watch us and listen to us on this. Please carry on doing so, sharing and subscribing to everyone you can. We'll be as regular as we can throughout the season with a lot more from John to come. But thanks very much from me. Good night.
All right. Thanks, Rob. Thanks for your time. Cheers, everyone. Please watch, like, share, subscribe. Um, do your best to get the numbers up for us, and we'll chip away every week. Hope you've enjoyed it. Good night, all.